Hey everybody, welcome to another Tausken review. Today we'll be taking a look at Doom Eternal, a game that completely blew me away with just how much it improved from the original Doom 2016. Now Doom 2016 was a great game, but it had a couple flaws here and there. In particular, it felt like the beginning of Doom 2016 was at odds with the game's overall design of fast-paced nature with the closed level design that you had in the Mars facilities. It wasn't until the later to mid sections of Doom 2016 that I really started to love the game, as it really embraced its more Quake side. And Doom Eternal moves much more towards that side, a more open-ended Quake-like design with open-ended levels that are much bigger and reminiscent of the fast-paced nature, like I said before, of games like Quake. It really blends itself well with the mechanics around the glory kill system, the ammo system, and other things. It really makes a visceral and fun experience that's unlike anything else. It also makes a lot of really small changes that make the game so much better, like for example the dash ability, which is kind of like something you'd find in like a Metroidvania to get around different obstacles, but it fits so well in this game. There's so many cool platforming ideas, and there's ways you can jump around and dodge enemy attacks, and it just makes the game feel so much better. And I can't imagine going back and playing Doom 2016 after having played Doom Eternal, because it's just so awesome using this ability. We've also made some changes to the ammo mechanics, which was also in Doom 2016, where you chainsaw people to get ammo. It's a lot like that in this game, except they've kind of made an interesting balance, where because there's a cooldown now on the chainsaw ability, you have to choose. Am I going to use the chainsaw now that it's off of cooldown to get the ammo? Do I want to go for the glory kill to try and get some ammo back? It's just awesome. It really adds a lot of high skill, I think, on the higher difficulties, and puts a lot of pressure on the player to managing their cooldowns. Now, I've been mentioning a lot about the glory kill system in It Returns as well. It's basically like the same thing as Doom 2016. You go in, you get a special animation as you beat the crap out of the demon, and then you get some health back. It's a great system, and I still love it in this game. It adds a lot of tension to the game as you're trying to balance between getting health, ammo, killing monsters. It's a great system. Now looking into the actual gameplay, it's a very fast-paced experience, which is very funny because Doom 2016 was already a crazy fast game. In the mid to later sections, we had the more demon open-ended levels, but this game really just goes all out. Like, it's very fast-paced, your running and movement speed feels so much faster. There isn't even simple things like crouch, because honestly, who the heck is going to use crouch in a Doom game? There's just no point. This game is really built for that Quake-like audience, that fast-paced audience who want something different than the cover-based shooters of today. All the mechanics I mentioned earlier, like the chainsaw for getting ammo, the glory kill system to get health, the dash ability, it just makes this game feel so visceral. What I love so much about this game is like the high energy feeling when you're playing this game and you're just bouncing between enemies and bashing them and then grabbing the health, grabbing the ammo. It just feels so much fun to play, and it feels very rewarding once you defeat a mass swarm of enemies on like a higher difficulty. It has also done a full passover of a lot of the weapons in this game. There's a ton that make a return, but there's also tons of new ones. Like, you've got things like this blade that can just one-shot people in really satisfying ways. You've got this ballista weapon that's just kind of like a really high damage crossbow-like weapon that you can use. A lot of weapons make a return, like the regular shotgun and the super shotgun, and let me tell you, the shotguns in this game are the most satisfying shotguns I've ever used in a video game before. They are just so much fun to use. You've also got weapons like traditional rocket launchers, a chain gun, plasma rifle, but they've also made tweaks to a lot of these weapons. Like the plasma rifle now has alternate modes like a beam, and it also can shoot out a blast that'll kill people. A lot of these new alternate modes feel a lot more fun than they were in Doom 2016, so I think they've made a pretty substantial improvement over pretty much every weapon in this game over Doom 2016. Boss fights return in Doom Eternal, and they are just as fun as the original. Boss fights in a shooter is something I honestly never thought I would enjoy. They're always bullet spongy, boring, and uninteresting, but it has somehow made them work in Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. They just feel a ton of fun to fight against. One thing that actually really surprised me about Doom Eternal was the story beats in this game. It is way more enjoyable than it ever was in Doom 2016, and honestly, I guess you don't really play a Doom game for the story, right? Like, there was lore to Doom 2016. If you paid attention to the computer terminals and the different logs you could read that would add some details to flesh out the world, but Doom Eternal really does something much better than that. It takes a lot of the background stuff that you would get in Doom 2016 that's in the logs and the different tapes that you would pick up, and it combines it all into the main game's story. This game feels significantly much more fleshed out than Doom 2016 ever was. It's way more interesting, and it fleshes out the Doomslayer and his history and the world and its inhabitants. It's just really good, and it feels so much more immersive than it ever did before. It makes the game feel a little bit less arcadey. So if you're looking for something more story-wise, maybe you didn't like that in Doom 2016 that there wasn't really a story, this game might actually be a lot better for you than Doom 2016 was. Now, graphics-wise, Doom Eternal looks fantastic. The world, the enemies, everything is gorgeously animated with high levels of detail. There's a couple levels in particular where you kind of just stop for a second. You're like, whoa, like the sights in this game are incredible. And sound-wise is just as good. Like the crunch of enemies, the guns, it's all really good. And the soundtrack in particular is amazing. When you jump in and it's just blasting, you're like, hell yeah, and you just jump in there and start blowing the heck out of those demons. It's awesome. Now, I know I've been gleaming about how much I love this game, but there is one area that Doom Eternal really sucks at, and that is the multiplayer. It's just not fun. This time around, they've tried to do something a little bit different, and so I applaud them for trying something different. It's not a deathmatch, it's not an FFA, it's nothing, you know, like a traditional multiplayer. Instead, it's an asymmetric style of gameplay. It's basically a 1v2, with one player playing as the Slayer and two as demons. The demon players can choose from any of the demons that were in the campaign, with customized loadouts. Some of them aren't as customizable or as deep as they were in the campaign. Like the Marauder isn't quite as batshit insane as he is in the campaign, but that's honestly probably a good thing for balance reasons. It's a unique mode, and it's interesting to play as the demons in particular just to get a unique perspective. It's kind of fun to play as a Slayer and try and dodge and get around and snipe at and pick at and beat up the demons to try and take them out to win the match. That's cool, I like that. But I just honestly can't see myself playing this mode very long. The population is basically dead on arrival. I played it shortly after release, and I could hardly find a game. It took forever, and anyone who I was playing against had like level 90 or something, and they were just obliterating me. It just doesn't really feel that fun to play. Overall, I feel like I've been maybe a little bit biased with this game. I've been very positive, but that's because I find that there's so little to complain about this game. It was such a massive improvement over Doom 2016. It's just so damn fun to play. The gameplay is rock solid. The weapons are fun to use. The music, the graphics are awesome. It's just such an immersive game. It's just a blast to play. It's one of those games that you sit back and you just say, wow, that was a ton of fun. Now, there's a couple stumbling blocks. I don't really feel like the multiplayer is that fun. I like that they tried something different, but I don't feel like they succeeded at all. But despite that, there's just so much positive stuff about this game. It's just so much fun. And as a result, Doom Eternal gets a 9 out of 10. It's a fantastic game. And if you like shooters, especially fast-paced shooters, maybe games that are reminiscent of Quake, definitely go out and pick this game up.